Kind of, it sounds like.
Okay.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is 8:30, so
Yeah.
we can start. Morning, call a meeting to order. It is August 30th. I'm gonna bring a pile of paper here. Okay, do we have a motion to acknowledge the minutes?
So moved. Second.
We have two set, the 16th, August 17th. What else we have? 18th and August 23rd, and I believe we were all at those.
Mhm.
So yeah, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Meet with county engineer. Good morning, Dwayne.
Good morning, one and all.
Good morning.
Crews have been busy the last 2 weeks, doing basic maintenance, working on replacing and repairing some of the low water crossings that we have. They finally finished up replacing the 2 tank car pipe crossings that got washed out in the June rains. Or the last one of our crossings on 250th between Queen's Cup and Palm is getting redone. The pipe washed out, they're just changing that into a low water crossing.
Mhm.
Storm last week knocked down a tree in the northwest part of the county. The guys got it moved out of the right of way, but there's still, the tree is rotten and filled with honeybees, so, which wouldn't be an issue, except it's not going to be able to stay where it's at. So we're going to wait until winter when the bees may be dormant and remove the tree at that time.
Mhm.
And if anybody would like to relocate a honeybee hive, it's there for their taking.
You know what? There might be. people
There
around
are
that do that.
around Vern Ramsey from down in Keosauqua.
There's several.
Get a hold of him if he may know of someone to be able to put them in.
2 weeks ago, Thomas and I went through the county engineers orientation with the folks from the DOT and the Iowa County Engineer Service Bureau.
Thomas just joined us.
Oh, good morning, Thomas. And I believe I emailed you guys that with discussions with the DOT on
Yeah.
Nicole Moore at the local server.
Local systems.
Local Systems Bureau. We are going to proceed with the Vedic Bridge project with hopefully a January letting. Caveat on we have our projects closed out that are open right now. Speaking with Jeff Fadden at Calhoun Burns and Eastern Iowa Local Systems, that should be a reachable goal. So excited about that.
Yeah,
We get
that's
to start.
exciting. Good job.
So we should have our 2 swap bridges should be starting in April of next year, 2022. And then if we get the Vedic Bridge project let in January, that should be late summer, early fall construction. So we should have some stuff going on next year. Let's see, I think we have, let's see, Mr. Adams has a confinement over on, the Adams family has a confinement on Seneca. Salina.
Yeah, Salina Road.
Salina.
Yeah.
They have a non-conforming addition to their entrance for construction. They didn't get a permit to make their pipe longer.
Oh, okay.
He's told me he's gonna come in and fill out the paperwork and make that correct and put the right size pipe in. I have not seen him yet.
Yeah, well,
If
you
you need
will.
somebody to
Will-
make a call, let me know.
Well, I'll call and remind him, and if that doesn't bear fruit, I will take you up on that offer.
Okay.
We're still working on getting budget numbers for greater shed rehabs.
Mhm.
One of the guys had mentioned that our greater shed in Germanville is not on county property.
I wondered about that.
So,
Why is that,
I think,
Steve? No idea.
Before my time.
I'm not so
Okay.
sure that shed isn't older than I am.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I think it just got put up there. There may have been an agreement at some time in the
The
past. but
handshake.
So,
My thought is if while we're in the process of redoing greater sheds, maybe we could find some county property in that area that we could relocate a greater shed.
well, we may be able to take it as an easement on whoever is the property owner that's there, because I'm sure
Same
they've
guy's not
assumed
returning my phone calls
through
about
property
confinement.
transfers over the year that it may stay there, and we could do that. It's not like somebody's telling us we've got to move it off their property right
Yeah.
now. And if we make a big deal about it, then that may happen. I would prefer to look that avenue at it to see if maybe you couldn't do something with looking back through deeds, if that's all right.
Yeah, we can look at something. Supposedly there's, at one point, there was 5 different road beds maybe that come through there. That road has changed several times.
Oh, okay.
And I think at the one time it probably laid on the road bed.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, we may still have the easement for that already on
Well,
file.
and that could be, I don't know. And I don't keep track of these, so I don't know.
Mhm. So,
I think the road originally went through past where that one window was, and then around where the storage.
So, and the only reason I think it was like 5 road beds, Scott Klein talked to me at one point about there were several road beds.
mhm.
I don't know, he said he could spot them, I really didn't look it over
Yeah.
myself, but that's.
Well, why don't you work with Steve
Yeah.
and see what we can do before we try to find something out there? Because I don't think we got it in that area close.
And I gave you guys a form for a proposal for a new right-of-way construction form permit.
Mhm.
That spells out in a little more detail what contractors can put under our roads. Just got that from the sheet. I think it's under your pen there.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, I just handed it out when I came in.
This one. And that would work for, like you said, entrances, field entrances, if you're gonna extend the pipe and a field entrance.
Yeah,
they would-
the main thing is somebody sent me a permit request last week for doing a water and sewer under the
Right,
right of way coming across under the road, and I couldn't find anywhere where we specified what they were supposed to be putting under the road.
right.
So this lays it out in a little more detail so that the
That's a
contractors
really
know,
good idea because
know right up front what we want.
Mhm.
In visiting with them, they're using the correct material, but we don't have anything that says they must.
Yeah, and that would be covered in this permit.
A little more small print than what our other form has, but
Mhm.
it should head off any issues down the road. And I believe most of the reputable contractors will be using that material anyway, but gives a little level of assurance.
Good.
Yeah, no, that's good. Good idea. Okay, are you ready to move on to the tractor?
Yeah,
All right, discuss and consider purchase of 10-foot Schulte tractor mounted mower.
yes, currently we have 2 mowers. One of them is in great working order. The other one is kind of like my old Harley Davidson. Spends more time in the shop than it does on the road. And this is basically replacing that. We have a old Ford tractor that we do not use that we're going to trade in.
Mhm.
And I think they're still gonna plan on keeping the old mower just so we have a backup.
Now is the Schulte, the boom
Yeah,
mower
it's the-
set up?
basically the shoulder mower.
Yeah, it'll do
It's
the,
it's the offset.
it'll do the four slope
Yeah.
offset going down
Yeah.
through. That way they don't have to come back and try to
Correct.
ride the tractor on its side.
Curious story, what's that cost?
What's that?
What's the
that mower
cost?
It's like $26,500.
Where is that from?
That is from the Nickting Company in Mount Pleasant.
How much they giving you for that tractor?
$5,000.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that is
Yours?
for an older
Surprise.
tractor.
So we'll have a total of just over 22,000, 21.
I would make a motion to allow the county engineer to purchase a 10-foot Schulte tractor mounted mower.
Second,
Okay,
I said second.
okay. Susie's second. We have a motion and a second, any discussion, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, discuss and consider purchasing a retriever with greater mount.
I don't know if they sent out that flyer in the bottom right corner, or bottom, excuse me, bottom left corner is.
Mhm.
That is, it's looks somewhat like a disc mounted on wheels.
It's to retrieve rock back up into the shoulder area that's been bladed off during winter time.
And
Yeah.
to not bring the sod with it.
Yeah.
So
It's this, it looks like a disc
Oh, yeah,
and it would ride on the top. It's a screw type setup.
They have, they also make a tow behind model. But this one's a little more user friendly because you can see where you're at.
right.
Right, right.
As opposed to looking over your shoulder and
Mhm.
ending up with permanent cricking.
So how much is this?
$19,290.
And where's it from?
That is from LaCox Enterprises in Billings, Montana.
Huh?
Jeez.
There's not a whole lot of folks that carry this item. The IDOT uses it, and that's where
Mhm.
Billy found out about it, and they love it.
I'm sure you occasionally have a road that's needs chopped up a little bit.
I think we have a lot of roads that would benefit from that.
Yeah.
I believe it's within our equipment budget, so
Mhm.
Okay,
we greatly appreciate your approval on that.
maybe you want to make a motion?
I would make a motion that we purchase the retriever with a greater mount.
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, discuss and consider amended wage step matrix for secondary roads department. Okay, explain this to us, please.
Right now, the way our equipment operator scale is set up, it takes them 8 years to get to from starting wage to top operator wage. And if it takes one of our people 8 years to get to the point where they deserve full pay, they're not going to be with us. If they don't catch on to that in two or 3 years,
Mhm.
they're really missing the boat. And this basically takes that timeline from the lowest starting wage to the top and compresses it to 4 years.
Right, and when I asked you about this a few weeks ago, you said how many people does this affect?
I think 5 people.
Yeah,
end up with
it's
their
not
wages.
everybody.
Yeah. There's a lot of the guys are already at the top scale. It's basically the guys in the middle.
Mhm.
But we have operators that have been here 2 or 2 years
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
top notch and doing a great job. And it just seems silly that.
And it's
Right.
not a huge amount of money.
No.
Yeah, and I see here, you've got the list of 5 down on the very bottom of the front page
Yeah.
on this. Um, so, here.
So basically, we just went to one equipment operator
Mhm.
scale.
I would make a motion that the board accepts this resolution for a change in the step matrix for the secondary road department pay scales.
Second that motion.
Okay, discussion. Okay, I do have a couple questions, just because I know people will be curious. How much money are we talking about? Ballpark?
Yeah, I didn't know. You're looking at maybe $40 a week for 5 guys. And so $200 a week.
And so is it these ones at the bottom
Yeah,
here?
those are the guys. that-
And then the top of the next
Yeah.
page.
So they're gonna go from, depending on what they're making,
Mhm.
23,
Looks like top would be 2602. No,
Yeah, so, yeah, the top. Bring that sheet with me, the top.
do you want a sheet?
The top wage for the equipment operator is $26.97,
okay,
and the starting wage is $22.30. And originally
Okay,
that was
so-
set over 8 years, now we're just moving it to a 4-year step.
4-year, okay, so we're not changing the actual rate, just the time.
Just the time that it takes
Okay.
them to get there, so.
mhm.
All right. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And back here.
We usually need two copies.
Yeah,
so-
yeah. I'll sign this one, yeah.
Okay, while we're signing papers, Wayne, tell us about, discuss and consider hiring 3 employees in secondary road department. I know we have some retirements coming up.
Yeah, we have one gentleman who's already retired and one who will retire, I believe, December.
Mhm.
So this is 2 people to replace those and 1 mechanic,
And one for what?
1 mechanic.
Oh, sure.
Right, the one,
It's been open.
Mhm.
Got it.
the
Yeah.
one is gonna have to be a maintainer operator. That would be the one in December that's being, or going to
Yeah.
retire, and the other one is just gonna be an equipment operator, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
And-
It's the same pay scale.
right. And the mechanic, my understanding is you got somebody already on staff, you're just finalizing?
No,
This or-
this is a new hire.
Oh.
Because see, we
an
approved a
assistant.
position
Right, and they never
a
filled
couple
it.
of years ago, and I think it was maybe filled a short time, but then it never was refilled.
Well,
So
we're not,
we've got it.
we're not replacing the shop foreman.
Okay,
We wanted to emphasize that the mechanic position is underneath the road superintendent.
Right, rather than the way Mr. Klein had it.
As in the past, the shop foreman could dictate what he thought needed fixed first, and to me, that's not the way it ought to work.
yeah,
Right,
no, we talked about that.
The guys who do the work, they're.
So we're not adding staff, I'm
no,
just,
no.
we're gonna
right.
make that
Yeah,
statement.
we are not adding staff.
Mhm.
Right now, we're short a mechanic and short 1 operator. So this will be replacing the mechanic and the operator and also getting a guy on
Retiring.
board for the retiring.
But it just allows you to have time to hire him and get a good
Get
person.
trained,
Mhm.
get trained.
Okay,
Yep,
do we have a motion for that?
I would make a motion that we do that, to hire 3 new employees into positions that are currently or will be future openings.
Second thing.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I will not move that.
Okay, what's this next one now? Discuss and consider wage rate and classification change for secondary road department full-time as employees. Is this a new one?
No, that would be
That's what we
the
just
the
did.
guy, yeah, the guy
So
just,
we got on
yeah.
twice. Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
cross that off. the
All
agenda.
right.
All right, Steve Wemme, allow and disallow homestead, thanks, Dwayne,
Yeah, thank you, Dwayne.
and military as recommended by assessor. And this is something we do every year.
This isn't, yeah, just the annual allowance and disallowance of the old and new homestead and military credits. I take the applications, recommend allowance and disallowance. And it's in the code that the supervisors make that decision. And then if someone has questions, they call our office and we just take care of it.
Okay, do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and consider hiring Devin Lynn Maynard as a correctional officer in the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office.
Is this a new position?
Okay.
I don't know whether this is a new position. This person actually worked for the corrections department over there as a jailer previously. She does a good job.
Yeah, I just wanted.
So she's
if the
coming
position
back.
was new or if they were
No,
I don't
filling
know.
the position.
Filling the
yeah, I
position.
think they're just filling a position with this. But, yeah, she's been with the department before and she's coming back, kind of thing. So I would move that we approve this resolution hiring correctional officer in the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department.
We have a second.
Is this salary, is that the salary that anybody else would start at?
My belief is yes.
Okay, I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Discuss and consider hiring Carrie Porter as a universal clerk in the Jefferson County Treasurer's Office. And Mark was over and he's working one of the desks today, so this is a replacement position.
Yeah, this position is going to fill the vacancy that is created by moving Stacy Unkridge from a full-time position to a part-time
Slash on call.
/ on-call position. So he's bringing this gal in to take up that slack. She's starting at the lower end
Yeah.
of where he starts his employees there. So I would recommend that we go ahead and approve this. You can come in and sit down if you'd like.
Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Motion and second, any discussion?
No?
Oh, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, discuss and consider disposal system contract license for Uyghur Excavating, and I know we all got an email that said that was going to do.
Yep, from Dan Miller,
Yep.
the environmentalist. And I would make a motion to reinstate that.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna catch up with paperwork here a little bit.
Mhm.
I did. Okay, got that one. Schedule nuisance appeal hearing. Pat, you're on, and I know in your email, your availability was September 13th. Sounds like a logical date. Does that still work for everybody?
That works for myself.
Yes. How about you, Pat?
Yeah, the September 13th is fine. Just next week because of the holiday, I'm guessing if you have a meeting, it'll be on Tuesday, which conflicts with my court obligations.
So who arranges that meeting?
You do.
Okay,
Right, we have to send a letter to that person.
Right. There's a
Confirming the meeting date and those types of things, correct?
Right. There's a sample that we used on previous appeal that I had in the email I shared with you guys. So I would just use that exact language, or if you'd have some suggested changes, let me know and we can send it.
Okay,
okay.
But
So,
I mean, the key to the letter and the key to the appeal is the fact that, anytime that you have an appeal, the person making the appeal is the person on who bears the burden at that particular hearing. So it is the appellant's opportunity to provide some evidence or some argument that would cause this board to believe that the initial determination made by Russ was incorrect. And so I want to make sure that the letter informing of the hearing says that, because it's not intended to be a conversation. It's not intended to be sort of an argument or a complaint session. It really is designed as a due process mechanism to allow the person to come forward with evidence that provides them with the belief that they are somehow excluded or are not part of the nuisance ordinance. So just want to make sure that that's clear so that the hearing functions in an appropriate way, and that the appellant is aware of what is expected of him at this proceeding.
okay, so how about September 13th, what time? 10, 9:30? We'll be having a meeting that day, but let's double check.
September 13th,
It's a Monday.
Yeah,
right?
We'll probably have a meeting at 9:30, 8:30 in the morning.
how about 10? Does that work?
10 o'clock?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, Pat, we'll do September 13th at 10 a.m.
Okay, I'll add it to my calendar.
Okay, and Darren, do you have his address? I can send that letter. Sure.
Yeah, I'll get that to you.
And I know Pat sent us a really thorough information, so
Mhm.
I may solicit that. So. Okay,
I'm guessing that the address is probably on the information that Russ shared with us.
Yeah,
I would. Okay, thanks, Pat. Discuss and consider HR services. So I know we've talked about this for a long time. We basically have at least two options that I know of. One is that gal that does phone and email unlimited. And then if she has to come on site, she'll charge for that separately, but let us know. And that's $5,800 a year. One is I talked to another entity that'd be willing to share with us. And that would probably cost 20, maybe 30,000 the first year, maybe 20,000 depending on the level of person. And that would be for a day a week
Mhm.
on average. So I really think it's time we start doing something. I sent some job descriptions this morning, so if you want to take a minute and look at those. This is one I received from when I was looking for a county engineer. one of the counties I contacted, because I contacted their HR director, so I said, hey, can you send us a description? So he did. So there's a short condensed job description summary, and I think you all should have copies. If not, I have them.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna say, otherwise I gotta try to.
There's
pull
a
it up
short, here's
here.
the short summary, and then there's a longer one.
Okay,
And I know in various work sessions, we've talked about, it all depends on what duties we want them to
Mhm.
do.
mhm,
And I can tell you continually, there are things coming up that we really do need somebody. So I know we've got, just take a minute and look through this.
yeah, this is kind of short to be reading it and making a determination right now on it. I don't feel quite comfortable with, just having this laid in front of me 2 minutes ago and reviewing things, especially if it was out previous to this and we hadn't had it.
We've
forwarded
had
on.
it for a long time, but we haven't, not recently, so. So if you want, we can talk about it on the 13th again, but I really want to get moving on this,
Okay,
unless we have a meeting next week. But this is a pretty detailed one. This person is obviously full-time in the county, but this gives us a very good description of what happens in a county HR.
mhm,
Well, and he's a professional. He's been in it 30 years.
right.
So it's very accurate.
mhm.
Okay, committee reports.
Yeah, I don't think I had any meetings this past week.
Well, we
I
went to
had
ISAC.
several before that, but yeah, I went to ISAC. We went to ISAC, D and I. Susie unfortunately was unable to make it because of an injury that she received, and so, but yeah, the meetings were really productive, I thought. Few things came out of it. I think that we should have some meeting with one of the vendors that I spoke with to talk about dispatch and communications in the system that we currently use at the law center, and how to integrate some of these new items that are coming up with us. So they will be contacting Bart and try to work out a time to be able to set that up and talk about it. But I got that out of it, and then the meeting on the ARP funding and what you can and can't use that for seemed rather short as far as I was concerned, but it was pretty thorough. And we've got other information that is supposed to be sent to us via email today or
Yeah.
tomorrow that they were going to get out. And then the final thing was the use of ARP funding for programs such as new facility for public health and who are doing those and why they're doing it. And then also discussion of maybe broadband expansion to rural portions of the county, and what a couple of counties had been working on with those and how they were doing it. There was a consultant there with us that was talking about that. And I had a couple of questions about the small cell networks that have to bring some of that broadband to homes that are so far out that they wouldn't be able to connect into a hardline system, and what concerns anybody has had in their areas for the RF transmissions that are concerning that, as well as the Supreme Court decision. Well, I shouldn't say Supreme Court, it was the appellate court in the Eastern district of the United States that said that the FCC needs to update their guidelines for the effects of RF transmissions now versus what they were known to be in 1996, I believe it was. And so the FCC now has been tasked with doing that unless they take the appellate court's decision and move up the ladder to the Supreme Court in order to appeal what that decision was and to justify what their numbers currently are for RF transmissions. So that was a question that they didn't seem to be able to answer. They said that, you know, they hadn't had that kind of thing posed to them, the consulting firm that was talking to us, and they said that they would delve into that a little deeper after they've read the court decision and what's going on with it. So,
Yeah, my takeaways, in addition to Darren's, we're broadband. I went afterwards and talked with the guy and gave him my card and said, put us to the top of the pile. So they help you come up with a business plan and work with local providers. There's so much money now being applied for and grants available that it would behoove us to see if we can help. Because it's only going to help everybody in our county, because there's a lot of people that want to work from home now that don't have availability. You know, homeschooling, just the list goes on and on. So hopefully we'll get something there. The Office of the Computer Information Office for the state, that person spoke, and they're doing some local government outreach and have resources. So that's one we need to follow up with. And I got their information to really help us because everybody's working on cybersecurity. And, you know, we've got that due on September 1st with ICAP. So the other one is the auditor's office, and they were in this session with us for calculating revenue loss calculation. And apparently it's very favorable to all counties, the way they calculate it, because and I don't understand it because they really said the auditors need to make this calculation from March 2021. And it's 4.1% revenue loss, and there's a lot that can go into it. But how it is helpful is if you can show you didn't get the loss, you can use those ARP funds for anything. So, and the other one, you know, we've talked about updating for years the restrooms and doing some work on the courthouse doors and those, but somebody was going to use their ARP funds for touchless restrooms and giving today's technology. I know we have some plans that may not be touchless, but that could be something we could look at just to see, you know, when we say
auto flush mechanisms,
auto flush, auto
toilets.
faucets, door,
right.
or open door, you know, some places you walk into, they have like the doors. So it's something worth pursuing. And then I crashed the public health session, right, Chris? So it was quite interesting. Kelly Garcia was supposed to be there, and she had to meet with the governor. So her top aide came, and I guess I was glad I went because they need to hear from local people. What is really concerning, I know to both Chris and I and everybody there, was that they're working on this, what is it, alignment or relationship or collaboration, whatever the word is, they haven't defined it yet, between public health and DHS. So the question was asked of this gal, who's involved? It's all state people are involved, nobody from the county level. So Chris and I both let them know that it's really important to involve local people in this process, because it affects supervisors from the funding aspect, and Chris, it affects public health from the implementation aspect.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. They gave a template and like an algorithm on what they're currently, where they're currently at in the process. The state entered into a contract with a private entity to help with this process. And as Dee said, Director Garcia was unable to attend, but Faith, her top aide in this transition period, has been through this in Texas, as has Director Garcia. So, but you think you know how something is done or handled, but until you are at that local level and that implementation process of whatever service it is you're providing, you really don't have a clue. And you don't know how it works, and you don't know the current barriers. You don't know your community like we know our community. So the projected date, Dee, I think is like January or February of 2022. However, they've got a lot of work to do to figure out how this merger of services is going to be implemented and what it's going to look like.
And as someone pointed out, you know, you're affecting the people who's working on this committee jobs and their functions. So how true are they going to be in their ideas and opinions? And that is a real concern. So that opinion was clearly voiced by the group. Whether it goes anywhere or not, who knows? Let's see, some other committee reports. We had conference board, was that last week?
Right, I
And
was unable to attend
PETA.
that because I had another.
And then ISAC, and trying to think, I'm looking at the calendar. We had Seal Region recently, but that was pretty nuts and bolts oriented, so
Mhm.
business as usual. Okay, public comments. Do we have any public comments? Do not hear any. Okay. Motion to allow claims and approve reports.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Okay, nuisance properties.
Yes, I have 2 properties to report on. There has been a bid received. We put out 4 requests for quotes for cleanup on property located at 3029 136th Street, Brighton, which is actually in East Pleasant Plain. And the property belongs to Brian Westfall. We received 1 bid of the 4 that were put out for quotes. This particular bid, in order to clean up that property, is $28,500. And that is from Chittick Tilling, Buddy Chittick at 100 Marshall Street in Ollie. He's the one that's done all of the cleanups that we've had so far. Does a good job, takes care of it really well. This is an expensive cleanup because the trash is piled high up
Which
there.
place is it?
I think it's the one before you get to where the road turns and goes
Okay.
north that sits back in there. It's got the
Okay.
big building.
Yeah, I know. which
And
one.
it's
Okay.
stuffed with stuff plus everything piled up around outside of it. There are other properties
I
that
know.
are just as bad as this one, but we haven't gotten to them at this point. This is one that we went through all of the court process, just like we had with the others, and yet they had not done any improvements on the property. And so we went ahead and got bids for cleanup on this. We have $50,000 that we budgeted for this fiscal year for cleanup of properties. So we already have it in our budget
Mhm.
for July 1st through June 30th of next year. And we need to decide if we're going to keep moving forward with these. And then also along with that, we had a nuisance complaint letter that was sent out to 1117 East Madison Avenue here in Fairfield. It is just right on the edge of Fairfield out in the county, not in the city. The property belongs to Jesse and Suella Pilcher. They should be receiving this letter sometime very soon this week, or they have already received it last week, instructing them of what needs to be cleaned up and the time period that they're given to do that before the county has to take further action. So we're moving ahead on that as well.
Okay, thanks, Sharon.
Mhm.
All right. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you, everybody. Pat, I would like to talk to you here in a little while. If you've got a chance, give me a call, okay? Thank you.
I will.
Thanks.